After a short time of talking to Al, we eventually finished our conversation. Emily was up out of bed soon after me, and after not finding me inside of my room, went downstairs to find me finishing up my conversation with Al. As I hung up the communications device, "Okay," Emily said. "Are you about ready to see this crazy programmer?" "Yeah, I'm about ready for this journey to be over with," I replied, beginning to lean against the back of the counter, taking out a cigarette and lighting it up. I mean, really, I need to be done with this. There's too little time before the Black Label races start. Every moment I spend on this search only decreases the amount of time that I'm going to be able to put into my bike and our overall strategy for the race. According to Al, we're going to meet up with what you might call an in-between. Someone that this doctor, as they call him, uses to get in contact with people. This guy is going to be the one who's going to tell us where to find him. He's going to be at a shifty bar. So, while this is going to be stressful, I just have to keep reminding myself that I need to do it. "Yeah, to be honest," Emily replied, "I normally would be right there with you. But unfortunately enough, as soon as this is over, we get to go back. And then I have to see Danny, who's of course going to try to talk to me. Patch things up, as it were. Which is an entire situation I just don't feel like dealing with," Emily said with a frustrated expression, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. "You know, your dreams are putting a lot of stress on me, Jax. At this point, I'm gonna get bags under my eyes. If that happens, you're paying for it. Dearly." "Yeah, sorry about my life giving you trouble. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate you going through the trouble of asking your brother to help me. And I understand there's some emotion behind that. Some stuff you really didn't want to deal with. And I give you all the more appreciation for it. But come on, think of the number of times I've helped you out. This time it's my turn. You get to help me with a death-defying stunt. How's that for a change of pace?" "Ugh, don't get wise with me, jackass," Emily replied, snatching the cigarette out of my hand as she walked past, towards the front door, no doubt heading for the motorcycle. "Well, are you going to stand there all day, or are you coming?" she said, looking over her shoulder as she stopped in the hall for a moment. Yeah, I'm coming," I said, picking myself up and beginning to make my way out as well. Not surprisingly, the streets at daytime weren't much different than they were at night. Aside from the lit-up streetlights, everything else was pretty much the same. Constant motion. Traffic in every direction. It seemed like every building you passed by had people outside shouting one thing or another. People coming and going from basically everywhere. It took us a little while of asking around and trying to get directions to the bar that Al talked about. But eventually we found our way there. A shifty little establishment, with a few unsavory people outside of it. This city was about business after all, and that included bad business. No doubt these guys were there for untoward business practices. Dealing illicit substances, making off-the-collar and under-the-table deals for merchandise that's of a questionable nature. But I didn't pay much attention to it. That's not why I'm here. I parked my bike outside, heading in and leaving the name of the in-between with the barkeep and some of the staff, telling them that we were looking for them, like Al said, and then chose a nice corner table, somewhere we wouldn't be in the middle of anything, a little inconspicuous, and sat down, ordering some drinks and a little bit of food to pass the time. As the time rolled by, me and Emily conversated a little. Mostly unconnected things. Things that, well, had nothing to do with what we were doing. Joking about some of our past exploits. Like a job we pulled with a guy named Ricky B, who thought he could get shady towards the end of the deal, trying to cut down on what he was supposed to pay us for the goods that he was attempting to buy. It of course ended up in a fight. 4 of his guys versus me and Emily, which might not seem like good odds, but that's probably because they don't know me and Emily. In between my close combat skills and Emily's ability to wield a gun, it was no problem at all. The 3 guys he had with him went down fairly easily. And afterwards, Ricky B started singing a different tune. But a boot on your throat'll do that. But eventually, our friendly conversation was interrupted. A somewhat unsavory character approached the table we were sitting at, dressed in fairly shabby clothing with lots of rips and tears, a mixture of rough leathers and patched together clothing. Not the type of guy who has a lot of money at his disposal, or at least he wants to look like he doesn't have money at his disposal. In some places that can work to your advantage. A shifty-looking guy with a few face piercings, some in his nose and one in his ear. His hair dyed green and spiked with some kind of oil that he used to keep it propped up. Hey, I heard you two, looking for the doc. That's why you left a message for me, right? At the bartender and with the waitresses? That's the only reason anyone ever wants to talk to me. Look, I'm not in the habit of handing out advice, but just give it up. This guy hardly ever sees anybody, and the only people he does see don't really come back from the trip. The only reason I'm really interested in it at all is because, well, I owe him. He says he needs me to find somebody for him, somebody particular, who he has an interest in doing business with. He said this little arrangement that we have would eventually bring the person he's looking for to him. How the fuck that's supposed to work, I don't know. But suffice it to say, none of the people I've brought to him have fit his fancy. A few of them managed to live to tell the story, and maybe get a little business done. But according to him, none of them are the people he's looking for. The business partner he's oh so interested in. And I have to keep working for him until we find whoever this bastard is. I'd say your odds of making it out of this alive are about 10%. If those odds are fine with you, I can run a message, tell him who you are, see if he's interested in seeing you. He's real particular. Before he decides to see you, he wants a few things. He wants the names of all the individuals coming to see him, descriptions, and if he likes what he hears, then he'll give me the order to send them his way. At first I didn't really notice anything odd about it, but then it started becoming apparent that only specific types of individuals got the invite. People who fit a certain description, and also people that refuse to give their names before meeting up. So from what I can tell, he is looking for somebody specific to work with. And by the chances, it's always groups of 2. A man and a woman, early 20s. Woman, red hair, red outfit, sexy. Man, early 20s, leather jacket, rough demeanor. Those are the only people who ever get the pass to come up. And I'm getting the feeling it's only because they refuse to give their names. because none of them ever came back. I don't know if you two were specific when you got together your little outfits for the day, whether you're trying to fit the description or not. But if that's the case, I'd advise you to pack it in. You'll only end up dead. But for the sake of argument, let me guess. You're withholding your names, and you want me to send him the message to let you come see him anyways. You're about the 10th people to try this gag. At this point, it's just getting bothersome. For a moment, I looked at the man with a strange expression. Buddy, I don't know who you think we are, but I don't play dress up for anyone. This happens to be just how I prefer to dress, asshole. Same with her. We're not trying to fit some description. And we didn't know anything about those little details you covered. If we match some weird-ass description he's looking for, it's purely coincidence. And I doubt we're the people that he's waiting for. I'm just a guy who needs somebody to be a programmer for him in the Black Label races. And no, we're not going to withhold our names. I'm Jax. That's Emily. You can go ahead and tell him exactly who we are and what we want. If he's not interested in seeing us, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.